We're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff that Mr. Ober and I discussed on a trip around El Paso a few months ago. Some of the things that we've got going on there in El Paso, and just give you some maybe some thoughts. Maybe what we're doing is innovative. Maybe it's not. We did it mostly out of desperation because you got something you need to do and you need to get it done, and you got to find a way to get it done quick. So we'll talk a little bit about some of that stuff. Recently, we've used these 4 methods there in El Paso. We'll talk a little bit about them. Lane rental, we've used 2 different variations of milestones with incentives and disincentives. We used A plus B bidding, and we'll talk a little bit about each one of those as we go through here. This is for my friends in Dallas and Houston. It's okay to listen to the guy from El Paso. We do have some traffic out there as well. So Houston and Dallas, Seth, you can stay, dude. We're good. You bet. You bet. In fact, you should have bid our job, dude. Accelerated construction, that's nothing new. We've been doing this a long time. I don't actually have anything new either. I mean, lane rental, milestones, A plus B, it's something we've been doing a long time. We'll just talk a little bit about some of the variants that we've had going there in the district that seem to have worked really, really well for us. The first one we'll talk about is the lane rental. We've used lane rental on 3 projects now. They're at Interstate 10 and Loop 375 on the east side of El Paso. We're currently building a fully directional interchange. They're on the east side. The east side of El Paso is just growing exponentially, and we're having trouble keeping up. Traffic congestion just gets worse every day. I thought about it over the last few weeks of why an accelerated construction strategy would be for us for having 3 phases of this project. I don't actually have one. We just couldn't come up with the money at any one particular point in time, so we phased the construction. We actually had a bake sale there at the district to close the funding gap on that last one. And all of them have used this lane rental approach. The first one was under design build. It was actually with Zachary. The second project is ongoing right now. It's traditional design bid build with J.D. Abrams. And then the last phase is supposed to start in 2015, and then that'll be with Hayden Building out of Arizona. What we try to do when we think about acceleration is really think through what we want to do on this project. What are our goals? You always want to complete it fast. You always want to complete it safe, but really what's most important to you? On this particular project, it was important to us to minimize the travel delay and minimize the impacts to the rush hour. Like I said, this is on the east side of El Paso, and people use this as a commuter route going into El Paso, so the morning and afternoon peaks are really, really big. So we try to do the best we can to minimize the impact on these projects. So the way we did that is we used lane rental. And we thought it was a good fit because it met with the goals of our projects. The thing you need to do with lane rental is, you need to give the contractor some options, have a traffic control plan and a PS&E that they have options and flexibility, but you need to make it pretty clear for them what your priorities are. You can see on our lane rental table here, it's pretty clear what we do not want you to do. We do not want you closing 2 lanes on the interstate main lanes. Using this information and a flexible PS&E, they can schedule their work around minimizing impact to the public. Lane rental doesn't necessarily mean you're going to finish the overall project faster. What it does mean is it gives you a way to reduce impact to traffic. The important part about this technique is perception. We really haven't had a lot of complaints on this project. It's been a big project. It's been going on ever since I've been in the district, but we really don't get a lot of complaints on it because we generally stay out of the way. We're working at night, we're working on weekends, we're always there, but the public can see progress. So even when you close the lanes during the day, you don't get a lot of complaints because they see this project progressing along, and yet it doesn't really affect them that much. Okay, the next one we'll talk about is the milestone. This is on Spur 1966. This is a new location spur. It provides mobility around the University of Texas at El Paso. We're building a new connection between the University of Texas at El Paso and Paisano Drive on the other side of the interstate. It also crosses the railroad just because we thought that would be fun too, to cross the interstate main lanes and the railroad. And just to add some more fun, it has an elevated roundabout. We thought that would be a hoot too, so we built one of those. And just to add to the glorious fun, it's got pedestrian facilities underneath all of that, and they're all college students, just because we thought that would be a lot of fun to do that too. So it was quite a challenging project. For those of y'all that don't know, Spur 1966 came from the University of Texas at El Paso. Actually won the national championship in 1966 with an all-African-American team. All you UTEP guys, go ahead. All righty. I got y'all in a minute if y'all pay attention. Yeah, there's somebody put some artwork in the median there at UTEP. I'll look into who did that. This one, we had a different set of goals. We still want to complete this project quickly and safely, but here we've kind of shifted our focus a little bit. You think that's funny, don't you, Mr. Stevenson? One of our priorities here was to minimize our disruption at UTEP. This is right in front of UTEP, and it has would have had a big impact on them. We really needed to look at safety. We look out for the safety of the traveling public always and our workers, but here we added the students, and that was an interesting little twist on safety. And then we still had to manage, managing impacts on the interstate, because we are building a bridge over the interstate. The way we did this is we thought a milestone was a better fit. What we had is just very difficult work in a constrained area, and there really wasn't a whole lot we could do about it. I mean, we were going to have big impacts to mobility around UTEP, and there really wasn't a way to avoid it. So we established a milestone with a disincentive that they required them to complete this work during the summertime while it had the minimal impact on UTEP. So we started this work in May of 2013, and we completed about $5 million worth of work by the end of August. And I thought the area office and the contractor did a phenomenal job on that. I didn't actually think it could have been done, and they did it. This was the pedestrian facilities, an elevated roundabout, all that in that tiny area in just a few months. It was very impressive what they were able to do. But the way we did it contractually is we just set up a road user cost liquidated damages milestone that you had to complete this before September the 1st. They actually completed it before August the 26th. The last one we have is we had another project where we used milestones. We were doing some repair and aesthetic work on bridges crossing the interstate in downtown El Paso. The project kind of has two phases. The first phase is repairing structures, doing some painting, and then some decorative fencing on the bridges over the interstate. And then it's got a whole nother phase in the US 54 I-10 interchange that adds some other elements to that. So our goals for this project, again, they're the same. We want to do it quickly and safely. But here we needed to do things a little bit different. We want to minimize the traveler delay. But we've got some stuff coming up here pretty quick in October that we wanted all this done before October. So to kind of balance those things, what we did is we set up a project that had actually two calendars. The first calendar for that critical work over the interstate, we put on a 7-day-a-week calendar with a milestone incentive to complete the work. Since it wasn't as critical, the other work we just put on a 5-day-a-week calendar, because there was no need to accelerate that extra work, that other work to that degree, because it didn't have the impact to downtown as the other phase did. So we set it up with a milestone on a 7-day-a-week calendar, and we set it up with a no excuse incentive. If you haven't used a no excuse incentive before, it means to complete the incentive, it doesn't matter what happens. Utilities, weather, none of that is our responsibility. As long as it's not something we're personally in control of, you have to meet that date to get the incentive. There is no excuse not to. This particular project, they could get a $250,000 incentive if they completed the work before October 7th. For y'all smart people, that was last week. They actually did make that date, and they are going to receive the full incentive. Conversely, there was a full that same rate applied as a disincentive if they didn't complete the work by October the 17th. But they were successful in completing that work. The third one, the last one we've used is A plus B. We used it when we got a bridge hit here a while back. We really wanted to accelerate the work. It wasn't this one. This particular structure was hit in January of 2014 on Trowbridge. And look at the ADT, 236,000. Hardly anybody noticed when this happened. Everybody noticed this one. Me and the guy sitting right there were up for an entire weekend when this happened. I strongly recommend your structures do not get hit by a train. Everybody notices. As you can see in this story from the El Paso Times, they were actually doing hourly updates on our progress that weekend. So we got a lot of attention out of this. So what we had is this project got hit. We had this train car derail on October the 18th underneath the Cotton Street Bridge. As you can see, it caused significant damage to the substructure. We also learned that train cars can hold up bridges. I don't recommend you try that at home, though. This required us to close all the westbound lanes of Interstate 10 until we could install some shoring. And then 2 lanes of westbound Interstate 10 were closed until we could complete the repairs. With the 178,000 ADT, that loss of two lanes was significant. I avoided the interstate and the media and just about everybody else in El Paso while those lanes were down. So our goals on this project were fairly simple. We just needed to complete it as soon as possible to get rid of that traffic queue that was occurring. You know, we of course, we have to incorporate safety and all of that. Everybody was working in close proximity to a rail line. I thought about that note for a while and I just couldn't help myself but to put it in there, because immediately after they put up the shore towers, the UP opened up that rail line, which I thought that was a little insensitive since I still got a bridge with a problem, but I digress. I need to get over that. Mr. Ober, I need to get over that. So what we did on this one, we used A plus B. We thought it was a good fit because the congestion was already occurring and we needed to get those 2 lanes opened. So we used the road user costs that we had to calculate a B portion for the bid. And this is the results that we got. I was fairly impressed and surprised by those numbers. We met with all of these contractors, and everybody, I believe, did the best they could to get this job done as fast as we could. And there was quite a wide range in the amount of time that everybody thought. We were a little surprised by this. Appreciative of the low bidder, but a little surprised. They also could get an incentive up to the road user cost of $37,500 a day up to 3 days. So how this worked out for us is the bridge got hit on the 18th. We opened bids on the 22nd. That was 4 days later, including the weekend. Bridge Division did a bang-up job on that. We began work on October the 26th. The reason for the delay is we still did all the same railroad exhibits that you always do. Although some makes you wonder if it can be done in 4 days, how come it takes a year, but I digress again. Did I say that out loud, Ober? I think I said that out loud. We began on the 26th. Lanes were opened on November the 2nd. We completed the project on November the 6th. Our contractor, J.D. Abrams, they opened the lanes in 8 days and completed the project in 12 days. They did get the full incentive, and UPR, the Union Pacific Railroad, reimbursed 100% of those costs, including the incentive. In fairness to Abrams, I think it was A plus B that got this project opened in 12 days. it was J.D. Abrams or Good Citizens of El Paso. That's what opened it in 8 days. I mean, I got to give them that plug. That's only fair. They did not have to do that. So in summary, if you got, you really need to manage your lane closures and minimize impact, you want to look at lane rental. Milestones are a good strategy if you've got particular stages that you need to look at accelerating if something has more impact than something else. A plus B is a good strategy, and it needs to be for projects that it's so important that you finish those early that it should be a consideration of who gets the job. As you can see on our project, it was actually the high bidder actually is the one who got the project. It was not the lowest dollar amount. So some things to think about. I've got my mountain bike in there over. So think through your goals. Don't just tell your contractor to go fast. You really need to think through what you're going to try to accomplish. Identify your objectives and pick the right tool. You've got to be doing the right thing on the right project. I think it's really important that the contractor has the flexibility to implement their ideas. Because if you've got them so locked down in your traffic control plan or your PS&E that they don't have options to be innovative, then you're not really going to get a lot of acceleration. For those of you that don't live in the desert, it does rain in El Paso. I've been riding my mountain bike in the flowers and the grass for a couple of months now. There is kind of a drawback though. So for those of you that hadn't been getting rain, we've had almost 16 inches of rain in the northeast part of El Paso in the last 3 months. That's down around Beaumont type rain. But it does have some drawbacks. The picture on the left is US 62 at Pine Canyon within the limits of Guadalupe Mountains National Park. That water moves pretty quick, so if anybody needs some riprap, y'all are welcome to this riprap. We don't need it anymore. The picture on the right is FM 1108 at the Delaware River. The Delaware River you can usually step over. This particular day it was a river. In fact, if you can see that phone riser in the middle of the picture, that's about 15 feet above the flow line. So if anybody finds my low water crossing, just let me know. We'll be happy to come get it. Somewhere between El Paso and the Gulf of Mexico. We're just not sure where. When you think about acceleration, make sure your goals and priorities are clear and straightforward. Your contractor needs to understand what you're trying to accomplish. And safety is important. So when you're thinking about acceleration, and we have this discussion in our district, you're doing a balancing act here. You cannot be as fast as you can be in the world and be safe at the same time. So you've got to think through both of those things. So you got to think through the safety of the workers and the public, and then think about what you can reasonably do for acceleration. This particular picture here was from our district-wide striping contract in 2012. As you can tell, striping materials make a pretty big mess in an accident. This is a rural section of Interstate 10 out in Hudspeth County. This is almost the same thing in almost the same area. This was September of 2013 when almost the same thing happened to our folks in almost the same spot. A little bit different outcome, huh? So use your attenuators. If I leave you with nothing else regarding acceleration, definitely use your attenuators. The ones on the bottom are so you can tell he did hit that pretty hard. That truck isn't in bad shape as the other one, but he hit our attenuator very, very hard.